Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Inseinen Studios podcast. Today, we're going over H.P. Lovecraft stories, The Call of Cthulhu, or I probably said that wrong. I'll have Emerald say it better, and Dagon, which
He
I might
calls
have
it
said that wrong
Cthulhu.
too. Say it.
He calls
You
it
do.
Cthulhu by the end.
Oh, okay.
Like Cthulhu.
Yeah, you need a
Uh,
little more phlegm, I think, to say it
any,
properly.
okay. Anyway, we are set to dig into some horror. We got the lights off. At least I do. We got our beers ready. I've been loving H.P. Lovecraft. I read Call of Cthulhu or Cthulhu. The way it's like pronounced in the book is that's kind of what it. Or no, you said that's what it sounds like, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to sound like guttural. It's supposed
Like
to sound a little out there. Like I like the city's name, Relais. Relais. It's kind of like
Yeah, I think basically all that he writes down is that he's basically trying to translate it into something as close as possible as we could pronounce. It's something that's literally unpronounceable, or at least it's supposed to be. Whichever, as long as a human is saying it, they're pronouncing it wrong just by virtue of being human.
okay, cool.
exactly.
Well, sweet. I'll let you guys, I guess, get into it. Whatever you got to say. It's definitely one of my more favorite stories I've read so far. I would say Call of Cthulhu and honestly Pickman's Model. I think might be one of my favorites too. Like I really, really liked it.
Yeah, it's an
Um,
adventurous one. It really takes you around. It's globetrotting. It goes around the whole world, and there's an all-star cast of like every every ethnicity, and he has the tendency to name them all as many ways.
Yes, I see there were actually some West Indians, so I was glad to be represented. Let me just say they portrayed us exactly. That's exactly how they portrayed us. That's absolutely correct. I've just come from a unspeakable ceremony, and also about to go to another one.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I was actually a little worried to like if it was going to speed bump us or not to get into all that nitty gritty stuff, but I don't know. I don't tend to let it bother me too much because he really lets it rip in this one. He just gets all over the world.
what in Cthulhu?
Yeah. Like with his like everybody said he was prejudiced, so it's like this one's like the most popular story he's got, so it's probably like gives people that earmark about him or whatnot.
Oh, people give him shit for like some racial like words.
Oh yeah.
I
But
I
like
don't think I don't think he's that
Well,
racist. I mean, he says like black and stuff, but like it's not like he says the N word or
yeah, I don't let it hurt my feelings. I just always hate it when it does. It hurts other people's feelings
well,
because
I
I
mean,
wish it
look,
didn't.
if anything, I am supposed to be one of the target groups, and I don't really care. I just think you have to separate the art from the artist. I believe that. I mean, how many artists have all kind of.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
exactly what I hope for everybody to say. So it's like everybody can enjoy this stuff the right way.
just relax.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Hi,
Get over
Christopher
yourselves.
and Martin in the chat, by the way.
Oh yeah, what's up, Chris? And then yeah, that Margin's actually Mars.
Oh, he's
Okay,
here.
okay.
That's Mars, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I did notice. So Call of Cthulhu, it kind of takes a minute to kick off. At least it did for me. Like I don't really know what's going on. The dude comes in. He's like, because what that artist he brought into the guy, the little statue thing, and he was like, "Yo, I didn't he say he actually carved it in his dream, and so he woke up with it." Did I misread that, or did he like see it in his dream and
Yeah.
then he carved it afterwards?
Did he carve it in his dream and then like he just woke up with it like it manifested, or like was it like sleepwalking, or because somehow or another there was some materialization of either the material he carved it of or the place he carved it and brought it back.
Yeah, that's right, because it was made out of the material that they were like, I don't know what this is, right?
Wait, was it that one? No, I think that one was that one clay because it was still wet when he brought it.
Oh, is that true? Okay.
Dude, I think he did it. He carved it in his dream. I think that's how it's like worded. And then he brings it to what's homeboy's name?
Right.
Wilcox is the guy who crafted it, carved it, or slapped it out of clay, whatever it is. I missed that detail. Did he make it out of clay, or was it the
Right,
odd stone that everybody else
No,
was made
the
of?
odd stone is the other one. Bearing the singular class, the clay bas relief, which was then exceedingly damp and fresh. So
he pulled it from his dream, right, Ball?
Or he was an artist, right?
Yeah, but I kind of get a feeling he didn't. Well, that is an interesting interpretation. If he actually carved it in his dream and brought it out in his dream, but I got the idea that he just kind of carved it based on something in his dream, and or kind of in I guess a daze or something.
Dude, he literally says right here.
Let's see.
So
We didn't.
he's
But
like, it is new indeed, for I made it last night in a dream of strange cities.
Right. No, is he being poetic? You know, because that's how I kind of read it. That he was just, you know, being
he did it in the dream, but like, where's the part where it says what? Well, I guess it's beside the point. Like
It's literally the well, what, I don't know what copy you guys have. Let's see.
This is the subject of the doctor,
1, 2,
who is
3, 4.
the uncle, the great uncle of the narrator.
Yeah, it's on the fourth page of text.
Yeah, the doctor who compiled all the files about the cult and met its untimely end. And now his great nephew inherits it, and then he's on the prowl. And the first thing we hear about is Wilcox, who made the idol in his sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
okay.
No, I don't know if this is true, but supposedly I read that Lovecraft actually did carve something like this and tried to sell it to a museum, and they said, "Look, this is like brand new. You just freaking made this." You know, and he basically told them like what this guy said. Yeah. Oh, but dreams are old. You know, older than mankind, or you know, however he said it. So, you know, I don't know I don't know how true that is, but you know, seems it's very Lovecraft. You know,
sounds like he's like pulling a prank on a museum.
Yeah, probably.
Just being a goofball about it, telling them, "Oh, buy this. It's ages old, just like a dream."
Well, okay, I guess what's happening around the world, because we don't, I guess, guys, the spoilers, like we're talking about the story for anyone.
Yeah, so like
curious. We're not reading, like, I don't know how long it would take to like read through all slowly and shit. Like, we're not doing that. Kind of just like talking about what we want to talk about. Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, but like the nephew of Professor Engel. Professor Engel is the main guy who assembled all the information. And so we're learning about all of his interactions throughout his life that led to this compilation of Cthulhu cult that he compiled. And now his great nephew has it. And he's following in the same footsteps.
Correct. And I guess this, at first, he was like, he gets in the box that his uncle left when he died. And there's like some manuscripts. And isn't it the statue or no?
He has a statue. He has a 7 to 8 inch tall statue, so it's like a little statuette, but it's extremely detailed, which he explains at lengths in like 2 paragraphs in the story. He repeats it by describing the complexity.
Yeah, they call it like a bas relief, which they keep using that term over and over again. I had to look it up, but it's basically a statue of presumably Cthulhu. We'll see.
No, I think it's very different from the one that is made of the strange material. That one is actually like a statue of Cthulhu, you know, as
are you talking about the one they find in Mississippi?
Right, yeah. So you know, there's actually 2 tiny statuettes, but the bas relief one, I take it, is more like a from pictures that I've seen of them, they're more like pictures made in clay. You know, they have some depth to them, but they're not as 3-dimensional as the statuette that they found in Mississippi. You know, so two different things, you know.
Okay.
And
Also, that part in the Mississippi, that I think that was my favorite part.
oh
Like,
yeah, that's just the idea that these people just continuously worshiping endlessly in the in these godless and the descriptions, you know. I don't know. I think they were I don't know if they were unintentionally funny or straight up funny, but I definitely laugh at some of the stuff in there.
I think they were supposed to be kind of mutated a little bit, but like they still looked pretty much human. But like the way he described them crawling around in unnatural ways with like the way he described it would imply that like their joints were more flexible and they were doing all kinds of like bizarre movements and making all the noises that like human beings shouldn't be able to make.
Oh, there's a great line that I made note of. It was something along the lines of you know, there's vocal qualities of men and that of beasts, and it's terrible to hear one when the source should yield the other. You know, so that's how he's describing the
yeah,
note that
I remember that.
Oh boy.
You know, that's such a cool way to put it. You know, you have like, you know, I said it over and over. You know, like sometimes the stories mightn't be that complex, but the way that he writes it is what you know, sends it over what elevates it. You know.
Yeah.
You know,
Dude, I just love the buildup of going through the forest. So we already know people of a nearby village, or basically people that were like living there or in the area. Some of their wives, like some of the women and children, were stolen. I think it mentioned.
right.
And now the detectives come, they round up their troops. They're like, you know, going through the forest. There's all this like foreshadowing because the people who had their women and children stolen, they were so scared they just showed them the direction and like they could hear the noises of the ritual going on and they were like, we're not going with you.
Right. One guy took them up to the point and he was like, yeah, okay, you take it from here.
Yeah. And I just thought that was so creepy. I love the whole like text of like them working their way through and what they were hearing. And you know how the fire and the light was like getting brighter and brighter, and then they finally come to the scene, and I think a few of them, it says like a few of them like stumble, and then one dude like passes out, I think, or he like completely collapses just due to the sight of what they're seeing, and just
they described a pyre underneath the obelisk where like all the bodies of the kidnapped victims were burning.
Yeah, dude. I started reading the descriptive words of like actually what was going on with the fire and the burning bodies.
Yeah,
and
he won't
the
really
guys.
The
Yeah, walking around and chanting. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, it got
super dark,
pretty gruesome for sure.
Yeah, there's even the description of the forest. There was another line I liked. You know, nooses of Spanish moss. You know, just the idea that we know that death is lurking in this forest. You know, death for all of us. You know, probably.
Oh, like yeah, the symbolism. You mean?
Yeah.
Nice.
You know,
okay.
a lot of cool. I mean, that is just one that I happen to notice, but I'm sure it's packed with a lot of little stuff like that. Oh, I don't know if this is in your printing, but you have like a nice old timey spelling of Eskimo. You know,
I don't think so.
ESQUIMAUX. Eskimo.
Let's see.
I don't remember seeing that. I wouldn't be surprised though.
No, it's spelled with a K in mine. I don't have the Q.
Yeah, I got a K too.
Ah, damn. They bamboozled that.
Yeah, they you know, they're trying to save a couple letters there. You know, I'm sure that adds up. But I feel like that was it seems like that is the kind of old timey thing that you know, he would have had. There's a couple other like this is a little bit later, but he mentioned something called a cutting bureau. I looked that up. Apparently, it's the professor hired a cutting bureau, which apparently is like a organization that used to collect all kind of periodicals, newspapers, that kind of thing, and take clippings and of whatever topic you hire them for and send them to you. So it's like a Google alert, but for olden times. It's just like a throwaway line, but I thought that was, kind of like a nice, interesting old-timey thing that I had no idea what he was talking about,
Yeah. Just are you talking about the verbiage he uses when he's talking about the like articles in the newspapers, and he calls them like clippings and stuff like that? Is that what you're talking about?
Right. Yeah. But he
I thought that was weird, but I put it together because of the context, but I've never seen that before either.
Yeah. Apparently, this was like a service they could have gotten, in these times. Hire a business to go through, because he was interested in anything to do with the Cthulhu cult, So he hired some organization to go through all periodicals, because they do this. I suppose they do this to everybody. They're going through all periodicals anyway, and whatever people had hired them to look out for, they take clippings of those and send them to this guy. That is,
well, yo, Ball. One thing I feel like I needed some clarification on, which I was confused about, is Angle, the professor at the time. After Wilcox does his things and Angle puts a couple, like 2 and 2 together with like all these artistic type people are like freaking out and having weird psychological things going on with them around the same time.
Sensitive men, he says.
right.
Yeah, sensitive men. I took it as artistic because they're all like artists and stuff like that. The
very
sensitive is funny.
Very aware of the world. Yeah.
But anyway, did he start reaching out to other people to tell him what they were experiencing, or did all these people start reaching out to him because of his expertise due to what was going on in their lives?
No, I think that those were clippings sent to him, because remember there's like a part where the nephew is reading out all these myriad bizarre occurrences that happen over the world. All of those are clippings, and I believe that those were sent to him by the Cotton Bureau. It's not Clipping Bureau, sorry, it's Cotton Bureau.
Okay.
Right? So Professor Angle must have employed a Cotton Bureau, for the number of extracts was tremendous, and sources scattered throughout the globe. So all of these articles sent to him by the Cotton Bureau. All these bizarre cases of things happening, and apparently, these sensitive men, the idea is that, and I noticed he made a note of mentioning that with respect to Wilcox, and so that is a similarity, because Cthulhu is said later on that he could communicate only in dreams to these flesh-brained mammals or something like that.
Okay.
And that's why, so he's reaching out to all those people, and, none of them really have an idea of what it is, because most of them are not members of the cult,
Yeah, Ball, I guess the passage I was talking about, just to make sure we're on the same page, my uncle, it seems, had quickly instituted a prodigiously far-flung body of inquiries amongst nearly all the friends whom he could question without impertinence, asking for nightly reports of their dreams and the dates of any notable visions for some time past. The reception of his request seems to have been varied, but he must at the very least have received more responses than any ordinary man could have handled without a secretary. So it seemed like what the fuck is his name? The professor Angle. It seemed like he was reaching out to people based on what I just read.
He was doing a little of everything, though. I think he was doing a little bit of everything. He was like really into the whole case, so he was putting his efforts.
From what I saw, though, I don't think he got any answers that he liked from those, because those were not really artists that he had in his contact list. So I don't think he got the horrific visions that he was looking for, and maybe that is why he went on to get.
Well, it says it was from the artists and poets that the pertinent answers came.
Okay.
And I know that panic would have broken loose had they been able to compare notes. So they're answering. These artists and poets are answering
Okay, you're right. Yeah. So then, so then that means that all of them were kind of saying very similar things independently.
Yeah, I don't think it matters too much. A big deal. Too much. I felt like I was confused on whether he was reaching out to people or they were reaching out to him. But there was probably a little bit of both.
Right, because Wilcox knew to come to him. You know, why would he? He had to have known that this guy was, you know, kind of looking for this kind of bizarrity, and that is why he came to him in the first place.
Another thing I found curious was our narrator was it took him forever to believe. Like he seemed like he was fighting the truth so hard. Like where he was like, oh, I know Wilcox, or maybe it's not the narrator, maybe it is Angle. So one of them was like,
no, you're right. It's his great nephew.
His great nephew was like, oh, Wilcox must have known of the cult or heard about it somehow. Like he's making this up, that like he didn't know it existed, and he's having these dreams without any prior knowledge of these other happenings. Like he fought it so hard. I was like, dude, read the fucking writing on the walls, man.
But supposedly, as soon as he met him, he knew that he was legit, because you know he met him, I think, and he saw that this was like clearly a person without any guile. You know, he's just this is what he is. I like how they're constantly always going over how Wilcox is a genius. You know, he's a genius.
Yeah, you're right. He was so honest and like upfront. Like it'd be hard not to believe him. Like such an honest dude.
He told the story in such great detail that he couldn't not believe him. It was the detail that sold him on it when Wilcox told him the story.
So I know I talked a lot. I've been like, this is the first time I read this. I'm sure you guys have read it a bunch before.
It was like reading it a brand new time, actually. It was so long ago that I read it the first time that it was different this time.
I only read it like about 3 times, you know, or so. And I mean, you see how the first time I read it, it was pretty impenetrable, or much more so that, not that it's so clear now, you know, but it was. I think I understand it a lot more now because I hadn't read it in some years.
Yeah, I've noticed the only story I've read of Lovecraft's twice so far is Dagon, because it was like it's 5 pages long, and I reread it again in preparation for this. But I noticed I understood so much more the second read through of something, because the first read through of these stories, I'm looking up everything, words I don't know, people I don't know. I think it takes me longer to like figure out the people he's talking about, because he's referencing so many artists and writers from 15th, 16th, 17th century that obviously influenced Lovecraft in real life and has been influencing his characters in his universe. But I've been learning a lot. It's honestly made me want to like get into some of the artwork of the artists he references all the time, because a lot of it's like, you know, horror type stuff, which I love.
Yeah, and it's interesting that people were making this kind of horrific stuff, you know, so long ago. You know, people always like, oh, modern art is so terrible and, you know, filled with guts on it. Yeah, check out stuff. Yeah, look at that freaking Saturn drawing, you know.
Dude, I have that thought though, because like I'm not an artsy person. I'm kind of like a engineering, math type minded individual. So I've never really been into art. But looking up the paintings and the artwork of the people he's referencing in here, I'm just like, dude, I'm super into this. Like, why the fuck don't people make painting? Why don't I see people making stuff like this nowadays? And maybe they are. Maybe I'm ignorant of what's going on in the art world. But whenever I hear art nowadays, it's like abstract, weird stuff with, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a few guys. I think some people mentioned them in the server too. You know, some guys that you should check out in terms of horror artists.
So speaking of rereading things, we were talking about rereading. The very first thing in in the Necronomicon was the story Night Gaunts. It's a poem with like the bat-winged demons. Like I think that they mentioned the Night Gaunts in Call of Cthulhu because when they go to the cult in Louisiana, they mention the black-winged ones taking the bodies that they're kidnapping, and there was a story of the demons coming out of a hole in the ground, and the Night Gaunts are said to like come from caves like bats.
I'm glad you said that because I needed some clarification because I know it was mentioned that these winged giant bat creatures might have stolen the women and children from the village, but I felt like it was kind of vague. I was like, was it those fiends or was it the people a part of the ceremony? I was a little bit unsure. You think it was the winged things?
I think so. The Night Gaunts are mentioned in another story too. It's once again that Dream Quest of Unknown Cthulhu story, which has basically everybody in it.
Yeah, I did like the Night Gaunts poem. I also really like the artwork that's in the Necronomicon. That's with it. It's really cool. Sort of off topic. Do you guys know why in the Necronomicon so many of the pictures at the beginning of the stories are just like a hill?
This
over
book,
and over again. Like, I'm just like, what the fuck? That's like the same picture over and over again. Like
I noticed that they don't do the best job of using the imagery. They just kind of slap it on whatever page. Sometimes it makes a little bit more sense, and a lot of them are used again and again. So,
is this this was a drawing actually created by him, or this is just your particular printing of it?
It's our publisher.
It's our printing. The Necronomicon.
Okay.
Yeah, they paid an artist to do the art, and it's cool stuff, but it doesn't match up to the chapters. It's just kind of like used willy nilly.
Right. They might have paid him to do some other thing unrelated, and it's like, look, we have all these freaking drawings. Look, just slap them anyway, okay?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know who was in charge, but they did it.
But you guys, this is not necessarily Lovecraftian, but it's definitely horrific. Check out that guy. I can't pronounce his name. Zladis.
I saw you did it in the thing. Daniel agrees with you. He's like, yes, but Beksinski, excellent recommendation. So what? He's an artist?
Yeah. I think he was actually murdered. I don't know what to say about that, but Polish, artist that did all this really crazy artwork is really something else. I wouldn't necessarily call it Lovecraftian, or not directly Lovecraftian, but it definitely pretty much everything horror today. Would have,
I don't like that word anyway. Lovecraftian. It almost sounds like other people are just like,
just slap this on. You sell some more.
Yeah, exactly. Like playing off of his name because they made something that was influenced or similar to him. Which I guess is cool, but I don't know.
He said something when he was alive, though, and basically it was something to the effect that like people are allowed to use my shit and try to write off of it.
Yeah, which is actually pretty cool. He's like he'd be an open source guy today, I guess. Here's all these stories. If you have better drugs than me, you can continue them.
Yeah. Dude, Lovecraft seemed like such a cool dude. Emerald, I did a little bit of research and I found where you were talking about how he collaborated with so many people and he was so open to like share ideas and help other writers of the time. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic, the little network that they had. If you go to the back of your Necronomicon, there's the last story is called The Afterward, A Gentleman of Providence. That's just literally his biography.
Oh, okay.
And it's a dense little read. There's a ton of stuff in there. That's where he found out about his protege, whose name escapes me at the moment.
But I do like that. He's on a level where he gets adjective. Everybody would kind of wanna, well, not directly, but it's like a cool thing to have. Lovecraftian. And everybody could have a adjective to themselves.
Yeah. Somebody he was in touch with who he actually mentions in Call of Cthulhu by name is Clark Ashton Smith, and they were pen pals. And he mentions Ashton Smith and like his works in, I would just now say several of his stories. Like it's just a reoccurring real world character that he uses, and they were friends. So
Daniel's warning of Beksinski's before you go to bed. I don't know.
I haven't looked it up yet.
But that's the best time to to
That's
watch
the
this.
best time, yeah, dude. I almost like I read. Well, I finished the rest of Cthulhu in the morning after I started it, and I almost felt like I shouldn't have been reading it unless it's nighttime. I shouldn't be reading Lovecraft unless it's like dark outside.
It's giving me dreams, dude. It works. Like if you read it.
I don't get any dreams. I guess you guys are a little more, how did you describe them? Sensitive.
Yeah.
He's not reaching out to
sensitive.
me. You know,
Man,
where's my visions? You know.
come on, man. You had to have some kind of a wacky dream one time.
I don't know. It is be pretty grounded, you know. Oh man, there's actually a drawing by Lovecraft. I didn't know. I see this drawing around, but I didn't know that it was by him. I don't know if I could paste links in this, you know. But it's actually cool to have something that.
How'd you find it?
You can put links in the chat. It's easy if you want. I didn't know Lovecraft drew anything. I didn't know he was an artist.
I don't think he was like super good, but
Yeah, I mean, just not necessarily that it needs to be so good, but just the idea that this is something by him. You know,
that
it's
is
just
cool.
by. I don't know if that link works. Just now.
But I guess I'm trying to get back to Cthulhu because I know I want to talk about Cthulhu a lot. Emerald, you go.
yeah, I'm kind of like skipping around. I just opened it back up to a page, and I'm trying to find a good place to jump in. So, once they arrest 50 odd members of the cult in Louisiana, where does it go after that?
They talk to the Spanish guy who he was like
Castro.
the only Castro. He was like the only dude who would like corroborate with the detectives to a certain degree of
they put a ton together with him.
Yeah, of like what they were doing, the other things he knows. There was a couple things he knows that it's written in the story. It says he knew about but wouldn't share. But he shared a lot. Like he gave a lot of good information about like.
Yeah, he just didn't tell about the end of the world stuff. I think that was just implied enough that the narrator was able to figure it out.
One cool line about the prisoners that they got, you know, they got all these prisoners, Castro among them, and they mentioned that only 2 of them were sane enough to hang. You know, I just thought that was so funny.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was a great line, you know. Just everybody is just raving mad, you know. Only 2 of them were unlucky enough to be sane enough to even know what's happening, you know. The rest of them just get sent off to asylums, you know.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how they were even able to arrest all of them and like make them cooperate.
Yeah,
dude. There's also more proof of the Gaunts. Just a line about he indeed went so far as to hint of the faint beating of great wings and a glimpse of shining eyes and mountainous white bulk beyond the remotest trees. But I suppose he had been hearing too much native superstition. Yeah,
they mentioned that giant, like organic pustule that's in the woods near where the ritual is being held, and it's been there since, or basically they imply thousands of years. That was a weird part to put in. I don't even know if like he knew what he was doing when he added that part. Like what is it? Like is it an egg or something? And like he says it's been there since before the Indians, which would at least be, you know, hundreds of thousands of years at least. Something like that.
Yeah. Well, he kind of built up this area in the forest to be very off the beaten path and like almost like you were entering like paranormal, you know, almost like a world of the paranormal the closer you got to this specific area. I mean, think about it. The fucking Gaunts are flying up out of the ground and stuff like.
Yeah, and like their legend is that they're like ultra quiet, like you can't hear them like at all. Night Gaunts are perfectly quiet. They can steal things out of your pocket when they're flapping in the air, and like you wouldn't know they're there.
I like this Castro guy is so interesting because he's one of the guys that's firsthand seen like a lot of crazy shit. You know, he's talking about going to China and talking to immortal men and all this sort of thing.
Yes, that was so cool. I was like, oh, like what's the story of these immortal Chinamen now?
Yeah,
Like, why are they immortal?
Yeah, you know, this is just an offhanded comment. You know, what the hell is this? That is like a whole next story. You know, that we will never know about. You know, just so that. This is one of the things I always go back to about world building, you know, like just these little offhanded comments, you know, expand the world so much.
Yeah.
And he has like a whole thing where he goes off on all kinds of strange places, you know. So that was cool.
Yeah. Here's that part you talked about. All but two were saying all denied a part in the ritual murders and averred that the killing had been done by black-winged ones who had come to them from their immemorial meeting place in the haunted wood. And then they talks about Castro, who claimed to have sailed to strange ports and talked with undying leaders of the cult in the mountains of China. Okay, cool. Because I was wondering, like, did they go over how Castro knew about? So Castro is some dude who had talked about the cult with other undying Chinamen. But it seems like the majority of these people just figure out about the cult from their dreams, and then somehow they meet other people that have also learned about it in their dreams. I don't know if like what's connecting them, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of spreading of this religion. It almost seems like it's
the dreams
it comes upon you.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. Yeah, but it comes upon them. Like it's not like someone tells them something and then they dream. It seems like they just.
You turn people into a bug that is basically flying towards the light bulb, and that light bulb is like the revival of Cthulhu.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it, and also was it described as a mix of people that was part of the cult in Mississippi? Because I get the feeling like there were like a bunch of different groups there, you know.
Well, it doesn't seem like Cthulhu discriminates because, well, there could just be more of like the half black, half white people in that area of America at the time. I forget the word he uses, but it means like, you know, a child of mixed race.
So here's a weird spoiler, is that all of the creatures that live in the Earth realm, and this is like getting deep, but all the creatures in the Earth realm share the same dream world. So like the night gaunts and the humans both share the same dream reality. So I think they can both be influenced by Cthulhu.
Where is that written?
That's Dream Quest again of Unknown Kadat. There's almost too much lore in that one. It like.
Is that in Necronomicon?
Yeah, that's the last story in the Necronomicon.
The dream. All right.
Like it's just.
Damn, dude.
It's like the composium of it. He wrote it in 1927 though, which is really early. Like he was writing for another 10 years after that.
Oh,
so it's not like the last
Dream
thing.
Quest. I see it.
The actual phrase "night gaunt" is in you guys copy.
Yeah. No, they don't say gaunts. They just say black-winged creatures that fly.
Okay, I was just wondering because like I'm trying to search for that phrase. I was wondering if it was something like the Eskimo. You know, different.
Ball Emerald is trying to say that the night gaunts from the poem Night Gaunts might be the black-winged things that are talked about.
Yeah, I think we all got that.
Right. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't mentioned and it's some kind of bizarre spelling, you know.
But Ball makes up a good point, is that it doesn't explicitly say night gaunts. It describes something that sounds like a night gaunt. So who knows if we're even taking it too far by speculating on it.
He does this kind of thing more than once, you know. I mean, even like Cthulhu versus Dagon, you know, like they both described kind of vaguely, but you know, just huge. And since the idea of some of these guys is that you know they could take almost whatever form, a lot of people wondering if they were related or the same thing, you know. But I guess we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get. I guess we'll get to that. Let's try to focus, I guess, on Cthulhu.
It's interesting that they don't mention the Necronomicon in this one.
Oh, really?
I don't think it gets mentioned even once.
He keeps on mentioning, by the way, Cyclopean stones. When I first read that, I was like, oh, this must just be stones with like one big eye on them, you know. Apparently, it's like there's another word, you know, that's just the same. Yes, it could be of, you know, or relating to a Cyclops, but it's also just ancient masonry, you know.
Yeah, it's just huge, like giant.
Yeah,
right?
monolithic, I guess.
Yeah, if you just type in Cyclopean masonry into Google, you'll find all sorts of pictures of ancient sites around the world that are just using massive blocks. It's like just a common term, Cyclopean.
Yeah, but I wonder if he chose that word deliberately to kind of give that idea of you know, also is like some ancient monstrous thing, you know, the Cyclops, you know. I don't because that's the image that popped in my head immediately, you know. Yeah, this thing is covered with eyes and you know.
Oh yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah, it's a common term in the archaeological community. Cyclopean masonry, Cyclopean blocks, like.
Yeah, fine. I hard to imagine Indiana Jones saying that, but I guess it's common among them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at the part where, because I'm really interested, I feel like Castro has a lot to offer. Right after the part he says about the Chinamen, he just starts talking about them and their, and it's all like capitalized, kind of like refer to like God and stuff, you know.
I mean, yeah, I thought that was cool, you know. I made a note of that too. You know, just like a literary way to show that, you know, that Castro is emphasizing this, you know, whenever he speaks about it, you know, is with reverence.
Yeah, he's also talking about how they were not composed altogether of flesh and blood. They had shape, for did not this star-fashioned image prove it? But that shape was not of matter. So these things, which is also he capitalizes things, which it seems like Cthulhu is one of these things, is not made of just like regular matter like we are.
Yeah, he takes it pretty deep in that regard. I kind of wasn't ready for all that, but
yeah, he's like, when the stars were right, they could plunge from world to world through the sky, but when the stars were wrong, they could not live. Which I'm gonna branch to the ending. I mean, do you guys care?
No, not really.
No,
we can start getting into all that.
Yeah, so at the end, Cthulhu comes. He forms himself in one way or another. He is a visible entity on Earth, and then he like disappears without a flash. Like he's on the island that the nephew finally came across, right? Yeah.
The Norwegian. No, he hears
he's
story.
reading the Norwegian story. Okay.
Yeah, the Norwegian and his crew, and
on the island they come across what seems like Cthulhu, and he starts chasing
we haven't even said it yet, but Rillier is the city that is commonly mentioned, and with the Cyclopean blocks dotted across the islands in the Pacific, and Rillier was a great city in the Pacific built by Cthulhu on all of his spawn.
Okay, so you think that island that they came across was Rillier?
Yeah, like partially risen out of the ocean.
And do you think that's the same city that they're seeing in the dreams? Like they're one and the same?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, when I read these stories first, I thought this could have been the same island that the Dagon guy comes across.
I mean,
I thought about that, but like after reading Dagon again, they seem very different.
What was the timeline of these? Which one was written first? Because I feel like whichever one.
I would wager Dagon.
In Dagon's story, the guy, he can't see the ocean. Like he's on a mass of mud type material that it goes on forever. He compares it to a desert. He's literally looking for water for days.
Right. No,
he walks for 4 fucking days to the mound. But the island described in Call of Cthulhu does not seem like a landmass that is that big.
It's fairly large. He kind of does a good job explaining how big it is, but like I think you're right, and maybe thinking the Dagon situation is even broader in scope, I guess.
Yeah, I got the idea that they were related though, because I get the idea that these people, these gods, they and their cities are amorphous almost, like it could appear as this and it could appear as that. And I get the feeling that like Cthulhu, if Cthulhu had come second after Dagon, I feel like definitely is like a refinement of the ideas that he started within Dagon, or at least kind of drawing upon some of the same things. And also, I like that the great ones, they say that they sleep between when the stars are wrong, when the stars are were awake when the stars are right, then they could fly between worlds and so on. I like that they don't really seem to be trying to fight against sleeping for eons, because for them, them sleeping for 3 million years is like you sleeping for the night.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess also what I want to talk about, when Cthulhu disappears from the Norwegian side at the end, because obviously he just it seems like he just disappears. Did the stars?
I'll let you go on. Sorry. I think he was only able to, he was weak or something. He wasn't strong enough yet.
Okay, so you think the alignment was almost where it should have been, and that's why the island appeared and Cthulhu is there, and then it slightly went out of line again, and it all just disappeared back to its realm that only manifests itself when the stars are right?
I think so. I think it means that the planetary alignments and the star alignments, which are extremely slow, in terms of the grand scheme of things like the galactic scale, that I think that the alignment's getting better and better. And in that period of time between March and April that he describes, where every year people have the visions.
Oh my God, that's what that is.
So,
it's like coming into alignment.
So knowing what Lovecraft knows about astrology, or astronomy, not astrology, but it's kind of astrological too. But astronomy, and how slow the planetary alignments change and the star alignments and such, that he's implying that the city's going to peak out every year going forward, and maybe the alignment's coming sooner than we think, or something.
Also, I love the description of the island, and that they're talking about how it's non-Euclidean. They can't tell whether something is flat or if it's at an angle. One of the guys fell into a chasm that was supposed to be acute, but it was obtuse. So just weird stuff like that,
I've been trying to wrap my head around that one today, dude. The non-Euclidean architecture. I was looking it up earlier, and it's kind of hard to put your finger on.
Well, doesn't that word mean before the flood?
No, Euclidean is like a geometry word or something like
that. There's a word Lovecraft uses a lot that when I looked it up, it just means from a time before the Great Flood. That's referenced in the Bible. I forget what word it is.
By saying non-Euclidean, it's basically like saying that he's breaking the rules of reality, and they're seeing shapes that they shouldn't be able to see.
Right. So imagine the angles in a triangle didn't add up to 180. Just imagine. What would that even mean?
I don't know. Yeah, that I was trying to picture that part where the dudes are describing these weird shapes and about the angles and whatnot, and I didn't even know what to think. I was
a kaleidoscope. The images of a kaleidoscope with the crystals and the lighting, and how there's multiple shapes and stuff in there, and you can't really tell if it's concave or convex.
Again, I think that this is another aspect where he uses kind of the limitation of writing for to create things that we literally can't see. We can't imagine this, and imagine these guys seeing this. But it has to be driving them mad. There's a similar part like this in Dagon, where they just see it and they just go mad.
Yeah.
Here's
He's like, I think I went mad when I saw that.
Yeah, I think I went mad then, I like that he could look back at it so calmly, I think I went mad then. That was
Everybody knows about M.C. Escher, who did the painting with the staircases with the people walking in all sorts of different directions and at different levels. M.C. Escher. It's a pencil drawing, and it's like staircases, and it's geometric. I think everybody's seen it maybe in a movie or something. It's in the cultural.
I see it. I just looked it up. I've seen it before.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's trying to describe, where like it looks like somebody's walking up, but they're walking down, and
Yeah, stuff like that. So just imagine trying to escape from that, and it's moving while that is happening. Also, I like how the guy rams Cthulhu with the ship, right?
this was pretty much, yeah.
Dude,
Right,
yeah,
so-
I was like, good Lord, this dude is ballsy. Well, he realizes he's not going to outrun it. So he's like, whatever, go out like a man. See what I can
and
do.
this thing is like reforming like the T-1000, because he describes that, how it's reforming. All the pieces of it, all the globs of it are reforming it.
You're talking about after he rams him.
Yeah, he could
Yeah,
right,
he's
yeah.
like
The
he's like
scattered
Helsing.
plasticity of the nameless sky spawn was nebulously recombining into its hateful original form.
What happens after that, Ball? Wherever you're at.
Well, yeah, they fled after that. Just seeing that, there's like, okay, let me get the hell out of here. They're not. I mean, you're gonna sit down and look at it. Let's just check this out. We're only gonna see this once in our life. Yeah, they get the hell out. But they didn't wait long to see. I think even the fact that they were able to scatter it was is proof that he's not yet ready. Because I don't think that he could do that if he was at full strength.
Yeah, it was basically just like an apparition. It was like an incomplete, loose, fleshy form. It's like a concept that, I've seen in like manga, like sci-fis and stuff like that.
Right,
like,
it's not his final form,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's too weak to exist in its proper shape.
Imagine this is probably like the shadow. There's like talk about how higher dimensional shapes we can't see them, but we could see their shadows.
Yeah.
Like the Tesseract is supposed to be the shadow of a fourth dimensional cube or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Stuff like that.
So just
Evangelion
imagine,
covers a lot of that stuff too. Neon Genesis, Evangelion.
oh yeah, that's the Sea of the Rock and all this kind of thing. Where
the AT
Family Guy
fields and like
shadow.
the fields around us that are basically like our place in reality.
Dude,
Yeah.
I love Evangelion.
Absolutely.
Oh really? Okay. For some reason, I didn't picture as a guy that would like that. I don't know why, but okay. That's a whole next thing,
Well, it's finally getting released on Blu-ray in America. It like just happened.
Oh really?
Yeah, I got the box set version, which releases like a month later. But I'll watch it when I get it. And
is this
then
the original series or the new stuff?
No, the original. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
The first 26.
I'm totally down to do a show where we talk about Evangelion,
Jesus
the original, the original
Yeah.
show from the 90s, but then
That's the one I
also the end of Evangelion, the movie that
Right.
puts the
That
last
was,
two episode in like a different way, so you can like understand what actually took place.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big rabbit hole, I mean, like I looked at hours of videos of explanation of things that was not an issue,
Dude,
and I don't know.
It doesn't make sense. If you try to make sense of Evangelion to like, oh, this is exactly what it's supposed to mean, you're not going to find it. Like, it doesn't exist. It's totally up to interpretation.
It's arguably a more sophisticated idea to like the exact sort of genre that we're talking about here with Call of Cthulhu, with these, superior beings that kind of transcend reality coming to Earth and spending eons hibernating and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's kind of like almost like a metaphor too, because a lot of the angels and a lot of the just terminology referenced has like biblical backgrounds, but it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, totally different way to cook it, but it's the same kind of genre, like monsters coming from deep space and having profound influence on what's going on here.
Supposedly, I read in one of the these. Well, I listened to a lot of videos that said that supposedly the angels and the humans were seeded there, but one planet was seeded by like this ancestral race, but one planet is only supposed to have one life form on it. It should either only have angels or only humans, and it just so happened that by accident on Earth, the two seeds landed on the planet, and mankind had come out first, and so now the angels supposedly trying to take it back from mankind, to be the rulers of the planet, Now these guys got this information, obviously not from the show, but from all kinds of additional information in games and all kind of other stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they put this together.
That makes sense, though. That's a great theory. I haven't heard it spoken exactly that way before.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty well put, Paul.
Yeah, but it's not my idea. These guys, and it's multiple people seem to have come up with this. But like you say, is the true answer is only in that guy's head. Maybe not even in Ano's head. Maybe like Blam, it's just like, yeah, well, I was feeling to draw this today.
I love Blam. Like, I actually love Blam. It's like it's my favorite manga ever.
Yeah, everybody among this group has pretty good taste. It's for sure.
Well, I think that is why we kind of have like that is why it took to Cthulhu, I think, Lovecraft so fast, because Nihei definitely takes a lot of inspiration. Not really just from the designs, although there is that one guy that you guys mentioned, but just the idea of scale, the idea of scale. Look at these guys. You have like a guy that's like the size of a mountain,
Yeah, that's the impressive part. And I think in that scene at the end, he came out smaller and he slowly grew into a more.
Dude, that's what it seemed like, because he came out of a door. But
he was growing in my head, at the same time, I think.
Cthulhu's like the size of a Titan. Like, how is he coming out of this door right now?
Yeah. But the door was like, they were looking at it, and like the way they were describing the geometry, it's almost like they thought it was a hole in the ground, but it was actually like a hole in the wall. But there was something to that.
Yeah. It could have been like some kind of weird portal. Obviously, the laws of our human physics don't apply to this island and Cthulhu in general.
Yeah, like they're far more
or the geometry. Yeah, so like, who knows what kind of fucking universal laws are going on there.
Yeah, it's like those houses and stuff in a lot of video games. You go into it and it's bigger inside. That's just wherever the hell this door led to. It's like that. He's kind of growing outside.
I'm reading at the ending part where he rams it. There was a bursting as of an exploding bladder, a slushy nastiness as of the cloven sunfish, a stench of 1,000 open graves, and a sound that the chronicler would not put on paper. For an instant, the ship was befouled by an acrid and blinding green cloud, and then there was only a venomous seething astern. Where God in heaven, the scattered plasticity of that nameless sky spawn was nebulously... Oh, you read that earlier. And then it just says, that was all. After that, Johansson only brooded over the idol in the cabin and attended to a few matters of food for himself and the laughing maniac by his side.
Yeah, it definitely seems like his form was so weak that a steamboat was able to split it in half.
And then it just like ends. Like, that's the end.
Yeah, I think that's the point that the Norwegian crazy man stopped writing, and he just said, "Okay, that's enough."
I think he said his first mate died without him ever noticing, because only 2 of them made it out.
Yeah, it was only him and that one dude.
And that this guy is so driven mad by this, he doesn't even notice like a dead guy next to him.
Yeah, he makes that comment about how his handwriting is getting shaky the more he's writing into the gritty details.
Yeah, so that's just he actually is probably like mentally stronger than a lot of people, because he lasted a long while, and he died in a kind of a random way. Supposedly somebody threw some papers out of the attic, and that took him down.
Like a stack of papers landed on his head. I was just like, what?
It's like, what the hell is this? A stack of phone books, maybe.
A box of paper is pretty formidable. It's a pretty heavy object.
I guess so.
The Necronomicon dropped from 3 stories. Like, who's gonna kill?
Yeah, like the boxes that like office paper comes in, dude. They're like, I don't know how much they weigh.
But I like that, is like a stack of papers, and it's not, like a brick or something,
Yeah.
So a ceiling tile, fall off and smashed open his freaking head, No, just like a stack of papers. All of these things that Lovecraft could have happened to this guy. a stack of papers, fall on it. Yeah, we just had like a guy eaten by like a monster, Oh no, we were using papers here. I thought that was interesting because it stood out to me. I was like, there has to be something to this. But even that they were saying was they thought it could have been a member of the cult that killed him. I think they kind of raised that rumor there when.
Because then even the nephew afterwards was like, "Are they going to come after me?"
Yeah. So it's kind of left up in the air. But this guy did this guy no, the nephew isn't the nephew is still alive but just haunted by this, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the ending here and figure that one out.
Wait, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
He just says, if I do not survive this manuscript, my executors may put caution before audacity and see that it meets no other eye.
Right.
So he's basically saying, when I die, stop. Don't
Yeah,
share.
yeah, which is weird because he's writing it down. I mean, look, Chekhov's manuscript.
Yeah, he's.
I think he wants it. He a part of him wants this. To continue. That is because I guess he's slowly being converted. So he's writing this so that somebody's like, oh, what the hell is that?
It's the human spirit to keep things in records and all that. It's the human spirit to destroy records, I think, at some point or another too. But it's also the human spirit to keep them and like pass them on, and hell, just gossip about stuff.
Right, and even the Norwegian guy, he didn't really want anybody to read this thing, but he wrote it, and the guy had to. I don't know who he was waiting on to come and collect it and read it. Who was even qualified enough to read it.
Yeah, it's there's something precious in the memory.
Yeah, so I think that he I don't know, it's interesting, but yeah, I definitely feel like Dagon was kind of a prototype for this.
Yeah, I know that the Dagon is like another fish monster god in the pantheon, as it were. That those terms didn't come out till too much later. I think that there was some intention, prototype for sure. I agree with that he built off of that idea, but at the same time, I don't think he was afraid to incorporate his older ideas and try to like overlay them and like make them in the same world.
I would say it's like a retcon that they're now like two different guys. It's like, oh well, we have this story. I want to keep it, but okay, well, they're related somehow. They're second cousins, something like that.
Yeah, I've watched a handful of like the Cthulhu mythos videos where people try to tie it all together, and I don't know how much of the original material they're relying on. I think in most cases they're relying on the original material, but it's like they connect the dots essentially.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing like where if you look to try to connect them, you'll probably be able to. It's like and I think he leave enough vagueness in the original text that you could do that. He didn't draw a family tree or anything like that.
Yeah, and that was a good thing.
What are you talking about? Talking about Angle and his nephew?
No, we were talking about Dagon and Cthulhu and how they might be connected.
Right. No, we were thinking that like I definitely think that Dagon is kind of a prototype for Cthulhu.
Right.
But yeah. he didn't supersede it when he wrote Cthulhu. He kind of rolled them into the same mythos as related somehow.
Yeah, he didn't try to write them out or anything like that, I guess. I don't even know if Dagon gets mentioned. I think Dagon might get mentioned in a couple of, or at least one of Robert E. Howard's stories. One maybe, it could have been Bran MacMorn or Call of the Conqueror. And Robert E. Howard, I mentioned the one time, was friends with H.P.
Yeah, no, he's one of the guys I looked into. I actually looked into reading the publisher of the Necronomicon did a similar issue, but for the collection of all the Conan stories.
Oh yeah, I have
by
that.
Homeboy.
I bought that.
Is it worth getting?
I haven't cracked into it yet. I read one story, but I splurged on a lot of Robert E. Howard. I got Call Exile of Atlantis, Bran MacMorn, Solomon Kane, and the Conan book. And I haven't really gotten into the Conan or the Solomon Kane yet. I've been on the Call, and Bran McMorn's a really cool character. I enjoy that one a lot.
Oh, I had actually had like a bunch of the old Conan comics to read. I don't know how close they are, if at all, based on any of the original material, you know. But
I think you could probably give them like a healthy dose of like being true to the material, but it's changed, I'm sure. Whatever.
yeah, but I do like that. I do like a lot of the art and stuff, you know. I mean, being so visual. One of them was done. Some of them I think were done by Winsor Smith, you know, a big time comic artist from back then.
Yeah, I'd love to see him. I've never seen any Conan comics.
Me neither. I would go read. Why do I keep forgetting his name? The dude who wrote it, the original.
Robert E. Howard?
Yeah, Robert E. Howard. I would probably
it's a hard one to remember.
Read his books first. Yeah, I don't know why. It's a super simple white name.
I think that's why.
Robert E. Howard. It's so like.
Here's
it's hard to remember. You know, it's like, oh, who's the guy who writes about all these crazy monsters and shit? Or you know, I mean, when I hear Lovecraft, you don't forget that. You know.
Yeah. Before we get off of Robert E. Howard, in one of the stories about Bran McMorn, the city of R'lyeh is mentioned in one of those stories. The same city from Call of Cthulhu. So Howard like took R'lyeh, and I think Dagon too, and they were both in the same story, and they were mentioned as like deep lore about Earth.
My thoughts on Dagon are: Dagon is one of these things, the capital lettered ones that Homeboy Castro was talking about, of the same type of Cthulhu, and whatever mass, you know, the story of Dagon takes place on is just, that's exactly what it is. He's just a different thing with a different mass, kind of like how there's Cthulhu on his R'lyeh, or however the hell you pronounce it, like
R'lyeh. That's how I'm settling it.
Yeah, R'lyeh. Like Castro references that there are multiple of these things, of which Cthulhu is one of, and like the story of Dagon is incredibly similar to R'lyeh and Cthulhu. So it's like they could just be the same, of the same type of thing. You know what I mean? Like it's literally the exact same thing as the island showing up and Cthulhu being there is like the same thing that happened in Dagon with that mass of mud that expanded like a desert, and then you see the monster at the end.
Yes.
And then it disappears out of nowhere, and he doesn't know how to explain it.
I want to say Dagon took place in the Atlantic Ocean, and R'lyeh is in the Pacific Ocean. So the Dagon situation might be just, like Dagon is like a mini Cthulhu in some form or another.
Yeah, but why does it matter what part of the ocean it takes place in? Like, we're talking about Earth compared to mythos, some kind of mythology and otherworldly beings who make their own rules, that we have no comprehension of.
Yeah, I mean,
it could happen anywhere.
Well, yeah, for them, those places they're practically next door, you know, or the Atlantic, the Pacific, you know, for them that is nothing, I guess. Which is why I imagine the city to be like amorphous and shifting at all times, you know, which is why I thought that it could have been the same city, or you know, a suburb, you know. So one of them was the suburbs and one was the actual city, you know. So Cthulhu's mountain was you know, one part of it, and Dagon's I don't know, mansion, I guess. So
yeah, but why couldn't it just be a completely different place, but still exist in the same universe?
Well, it could be that too, and he kind of.
I feel like you're putting the fact that Dagon has to be a part of R'lyeh in a box, and you're not letting it get out.
No, what? Nobody made any decisions yet. We're still speculating about Dagon and R'lyeh. I don't know. I don't even like. I gotta see where Dagon is mentioned in other Lovecraft stories before we can judge that one again. But Cthulhu appears again in At the Mountains of Madness, and you're gonna enjoy the part in that.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it. Ball, I've already started reading Shadow at a Time.
Oh fuck,
So
you're ahead of me.
Yeah, that's really kind of a. I think that's probably a heavier one. It may be slower than these other ones here, though. So I don't know how you'll take it because of that.
Oh, I don't mind if it's slow. I mean, I've noticed I haven't had to look up a shitload of stuff, which is nice, which means I'm reading it quicker. So even if it technically is slower, I'm reading it quicker than, Lovecraft's super condensed stories that I have to think about a lot while I read them in order to like get the full picture.
I think this one is more about the concepts. That's why I like it. Like just imagine coming up with this sort of stuff at the time that he came up with it.
Yeah, no, I'm really liking it so far. Plus, I have to like read it. I'm gonna probably start reading it again after this because the next 4 days I'm not gonna have time like at all. It's gonna be rocking out.
I want to like really soak up the Shadow at a Time, and I think taking a few days would be good for that.
And that one really surprised me because I was expecting something. I mean, it really is very different than these that we're reading here.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how far I read, so I don't want to say too much. We'll get to it when we get to that thing.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it at all.
Okay, I couldn't even do it.
I
know nothing about
that one.
Yeah. Yeah, go on, Ball. I'm sorry.
I just say that Cthulhu is a lot of is one of the names that people always bandy about when they're making properties based on Lovecraft, but a lot of them actually have like other stuff in them. Like there's one there's a game called Cthulhu Dark Corners of the Earth, and it's buggy, but it's like a probably one of the best adaptations of his things. But it's actually about it's actually more about the Shadow of Innsmouth. That's so synonymous with Cthulhu is so synonymous with Lovecraft that we making a Lovecraft thing. We had to slap Cthulhu in there as the front man. He's like the mascot. Cthulhu is like the Mickey Mouse of Lovecraft.
He's more popular than his creator. That's the best way to put it.
Probably, yeah.
And as one of our commenters, this guy named Christopher Espinal, he commented like over an hour ago. He says that Lovecraft seems to have preferred that Nyarlathotep was the mascot, more or less, of his mythos.
That is interesting because you don't really hear about him at all. I think that was probably like a much later creation when he was actually starting to try to tie the stuff together.
Yeah, Nyarlathotep he has many names. He's essentially supposed to be the one of the most powerful creatures in the entire mythos. He can pretty much take on any form and live any life that he wants, and he can manipulate people, and he's also a messenger to a higher being. There's a lot of shit behind Nyarlathotep.
Right, that's why I think he was getting a little carried away. Oh, this guy is the boss of this guy, and this guy is the boss of this guy. And just endlessly.
Yeah, he used mixed terms. Like Lovecraft said that he was like the messenger or the I don't know, like the avatar essentially of like one of the. There's a lot of mystery there. It almost doesn't. He doesn't really state anything in particular, but he still like everything he says implies like a great deal of power in terms of like.
I don't think any of these gods though are really evil. Because one of the things.
Wait, Ball, you don't think these gods are evil?
Yeah,
I didn't think that until the cult that's following them is speaking of the end of times being where men are going around killing each other and they're fucking sacrificing women and children.
Right, no. There's a part like where they mention, being beyond good and evil around that same part, I wonder if like in their minds, they're so advanced that none of this is really good or evil. It's probably pointless to them. The whole rise and fall of human civilizations.
I think they're aware of whenever they the planet that they want to inhabit is occupied by somebody else.
But they
And,
don't see these people as a
they'll
threat in
fight
any way. You know, they don't see them as a.
I don't
as a-
know. I remember reading there was a one part in Cthulhu where I felt like it did not fit in with the rest of the story, and it was about the purpose of these beings and how they will lead to the end of times where people are. It almost seemed like revelations in the Bible, but it was in a way where like everyone's murdering each other and stuff, and I was like, that's a little out of context of like what else these gods are. Like, what's up with this cult correlating these gods with like all this brutal stuff just out of
Well-
nowhere? Is that just a creation of man and like that was their interpretation? Or like,
I'm not quite sure. This is like I don't know if it's like everybody will.
do you know what I'm
be drawn
talking about
by-
though? I kind of want to find the part in the story where that's referenced, but I don't remember.
Can
where
you give
it's
the
at.
short version of that one more time?
Some guy was like talking about the end of times in praise of the gods when they come back and men are killing each other, basically. I was like, why
Right,
does it have to be a thing?
This-
Why can't they just come back and hang out?
Here it is, I think. Then whispered Castro, those first men formed a cult around small idols, which the great ones shewed them. Idols brought in dim eras from dark stars. That cult will never die till the stars come right again. And the secret priest would take great Cthulhu from his tomb to revive his subjects and resume his rule of earth. The time would be easy to know, for then mankind would have become as the great old ones, free and wild and beyond good and evil, with laws and morals thrown aside and all men shouting and killing and reveling in joy.
That's what I'm fucking talking about. Where is that? Please tell me.
Yeah, could you search your document? Just one, hold on. I forget it's a physical book. 1 second. This document don't have pages. It's just like one big long page. Is when they're talking to Castro though. When they're
Talking to Castro.
So it should be right after they've captured the cult and they're questioning Castro. There's a short time after that. Right? Then the liberated old ones will teach them new ways to shout.
Oh,
and kill.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Kill and revel and enjoy themselves, and all the earth would flame with a holocaust of ecstasy and freedom. That part?
Yeah.
Yeah, this part felt weird to me. Like it didn't fit for some reason.
You mean I think it's too what is the word? Like human centric, you know? Because it's
I don't know, man, but like
I think human centric might be a good way to look at it, how to start into terms of what you're feeling. I think I don't know. It's like a person projecting their own feelings on what the prophecy is going to be, or trying to make a prophecy for something they don't fully understand.
No, I will say that this guy is probably on good information because he's seen so much and it's probably so close to Cthulhu because he is one of the few of them that isn't insane. I was surprised that it didn't hang him. He should have been one of the two that was sane enough to hang, to tell you the truth.
What would happen if a truly grand power just completely upset the balance of Earth? I think humans would kill each other. There'd be quite a lot of killing if the power structure were completely upset. And I think that's got to be what he's getting at.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying before. It's a man-made concept that correlates. You know, Cthulhu could just be some god chilling, interesting, curious about stuff, doing his thing. But like when man sees
I think he's
the
bitter.
existence that he is,
yeah,
man puts this almost like, what's it called? He puts his own fix on things.
I think when
he relates to other gods and like the end of the world being with all this murder and bad stuff.
I think when you read At the Mountains of Madness, your opinion on that might be a little different because that depicts the situation that happened with Cthulhu that kind of like it reinforces the idea that he's just going to fight. He wants to fight and he wants to be brutal and
you think
some shit.
He is evil in one way.
Yeah, I think he's a conqueror kind of sorts. Yeah.
Okay.
There's
Well,
another race that existed on Earth in like super prehistoric times that Cthulhu comes into contact with, and his star spawn as well.
Oh my god, dude, I am so excited.
I don't want to spoil it though.
Don't spoil it. We'll be there in a couple weeks. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like, it's like saying, when you spray the cockroaches in your kitchen, back to the cockroaches again.
Yeah, you're gonna
evil,
step on them still.
You're evil for doing that, that is how I see, humans and Cthulhu and these guys, Then are they? I mean, they're evil to us, in this kind of anthropocentric point of view, but they're just doing what they're doing, They mightn't even consider us. Also, if they have nothing to do with humans, though, if they're so beyond humans, though, why would they reach out to them, though? That is the next thing, because he is actively reaching out to people to form a cult.
Well, here's a little bit of trivia just to like Nyarlathotep. There's one very, very short Nyarlathotep story, and the name Nyarlathotep is an Egyptian name. Like the creature that is being known as Nyarlathotep posed as a pharaoh, and he literally created like a renaissance in ancient Egypt.
Okay, so he was actually helping people at that point, because he was.
He's a creature of chaos, I guess is the idea. So he doesn't really. He just wants to play.
But so at that time, his play just kind of coincided with, kind of helping humanity bring about a civilization. It just happened to.
Yeah. I think I actually did. I read half of it tonight. Like I was flipping through the book and I read half of the Nyarlathotep story where he's the pharaoh, and he has many other forms. He has many other names. There's even another writer who wrote about a fictional thing called. No, wait, maybe Lovecraft stole the idea of Nyarlathotep. Well, I say steal, but he took the idea of Nyarlathotep from another writer who wrote a book series called The Yellow King. And there's multiple short stories in that book that all tie together. And it's an ancient text called The Yellow King. And I think that Nyarlathotep is synonymous with the Yellow King. I think that they're like kind of, people have said that they're interchangeable. Or like Lovecraft continued to write about this being that this other writer wrote about. Maybe. Don't take any of that for truth. It's just theory moaning, really.
Okay. It's interesting that he might have brought order so that he could bring chaos later.
Maybe.
That's like an interesting thing about. I'm gonna build up these dominoes so I can knock them down.
Yeah, there's more in that story too, where he's the pharaoh. He gives everybody in the kingdom bad dreams, like everybody has nightmares for like years on end. But he's the pharaoh, and he's bringing all this technology and this prosperity. But at night, everybody's just having night terrors on a regular basis.
So in this case, the pharaoh is the plague.
I think so. Yeah.
That's cool.
There's more I got to learn about that character. Like he's mentioned in a few different stories.
Okay, but with we're supposed to be talking about Dagon. I think we had almost an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But, this is how it always goes.
I was gonna say what actually reminded me more of Dagon was the creatures and the doom that came to Sarnath, which I recently read because I was just like reading all the short ones I could because I was like, I just want to get more mythos in my head, so I read all the short ones because they don't take that long.
Well, I think these fishmen are kind of a lot of his things.
Yeah, the ancient city of Ib.
Yeah, dude, and the creatures he describes are like very similar to Dagon.
One cool thing was like he's looking at these drawings on the thing and he's like seeing, and these guys don't know how to draw perspective. Clearly they have this fishman killing a whale and they're like almost the same size.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Which obviously the creatures in the doom that came to Sarnath don't appear to be the size of a whale, but
they're just fish men. They're just fishy men.
Yeah, but right. So those are like the spawn of Dagon, because like whenever he's like in Innsmouth, whenever he's kind of heading up a cult anywhere, they take on eventually his more fishy appearance, right?
Yeah. Did you just said Innsmouth? Shadows over Innsmouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
No, the Doom that came to Sarnath.
Oh yeah,
No,
no, but the Fishman also in there.
There's
yeah,
Fishman and Innsmouth. Damn, dude, we're gonna have
yeah,
to do
dude.
that one too.
It's way more elaborate too. It's
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
man.
that's why I say this Fishman is like another motif of his. You know.
I'm like done with all the short stories. It's time to tackle all the long ones now.
when you get that Eldritch Tales one, and like I've barely even scratched the surface on it. It's just loaded with all the short ones. Like there's long ones in there too, but there's a ton of short ones. It's just like snip reading. It's pretty cool though.
No, I'm excited. I definitely want to get through some of the bigger ones first. Well, damn, yeah, I guess we are coming up on an hour and a half. Anyone
Yeah.
else have anything they want to say about Dagon or
So they
Cthulhu want to talk about?
No,
I don't know.
go ball.
Well, I just say now, I almost think like we need to revisit a lot of stuff one day. I mean, if maybe after it's kind of settled, you know, because like when I'm looking at you guys blame videos on things too, blam. You know, I keep on thinking, yeah, there's so much here. Is even though the episodes are good, you know, it almost bears revisiting later on.
Oh yeah, dude, I could talk about Blam for
You know?
hours.
Yeah, we could.
Like, you know, there's like single panels, you know, like I remember there was one time where like somebody, I think Mars pointed out to you, oh yeah, and by the way, you know, this guy's head flying off in his panel, you know. He didn't mention that. And he's like, oh yeah, his head is missing here, you know. Just
Yeah, when you
imagine.
guys were, I loved listening to the Ibarra episodes because I was like, I could say something right now and like contribute to that conversation.
Oh my god, dude, I thought the Ibarra episodes were fantastic.
They were good.
So
yeah.
good. Especially with Millennium. When you get Millennium back, he's so fucking
Yeah.
Oh
We
yeah,
gotta get
informative.
he checks in from time to time in the server.
Yeah, I don't know what he's up. He seems like a busy dude.
He's in the
He's in the Discord server with the
he's in the TOA
about
server.
the podcast.
He's in the TOA Heavy Industry server.
Okay.
I mean, he's
But yeah.
also in the Inseinen's podcast crew.
Yeah.
He has been like MIA lately. Yeah, Millennium.
Yeah. There's another little line that I like. You know, there's some. This is the Norwegian talking about his guys. You know, 3 men were swept up by the flabby claws before anyone turned. God rest them, if there be any rest in the universe.
I just love how all these characters are just driven to like madness and shit.
Yeah, that's the point that where this guy is now. You know, it's like, yeah, if there is any rest after I see this, I have doubts. You know, there may be no rest. You know, yeah, just so many little things in the books, you know, which is why I say they're probably interesting to be revisited.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna find funny stuff in every story. It's like he was a clever shit.
I thought the ending was funny too of our Dagon. You know, the end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as if some immense slippery body lumbering against it. It shall not find me. God, that hand, the window.
And he jumps out the window, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking about that too, because at the beginning of the story, it starts with him saying he is going to jump out the window to kill himself. And then at the end of Dagon, he describes like an amphibious type creature at the other side of the door. And then almost like he describes its webbed hand at the window. And he's like, the window. So maybe when he said the window, he was like saying it to himself as he ran towards the window to jump out of it.
I have seen both interpretations.
I've seen for him there, is what you're saying, you know.
Or the fucking monster was at the window, and that's where he saw the hand, and it was coming in through the window to kill him.
The door and the window.
I was thinking, you know, what if these things don't really give a shit about him? What if that thing at the door is really just, you know, Consuela coming with a lemon pledge or something? And he's freaking out thinking, you know, a monster is out there.
Well,
yeah, or he's magically knocking.
A third theory is he's fucking high on drugs because he talks about abusing them. And he's like on the edge of madness while taking the drugs. And he's like seeing things as he plummets to his death. Like, who knows? Like, there's so many It could be so
Yeah,
many things. Plus, if the thing wanted to kill him, it could have killed him
I think so. Yeah.
on the island, on
You
the
know, like-
muddy place.
You know, like how in movies, you know, you'll have like a ghost, you know, kind of screwing with people in the background, but we as the audience could see it. You know, and you're thinking, now this is interesting to us as the audience. You know, like you're watching Paranormal Activity, and you know, yeah, this spirit from beyond the realms pulling the sheet off of somebody. You know, that's like a big deal. But the person is never gonna see that. You know, and I think of it like this. You know, it's just why would a creature go through all of this to torture him? You know, it could have killed him at any time, like you say. So he might have escaped scot-free and is only just kind of freaking out here for no reason. But again, this is I think it's interesting, the vagueness of writing. You know, leaves all of this up to all of us to imagine it. You know.
Yeah, and I've seen it interpreted in a video game based on Dagon. It was literally like a little tiny Dagon video game where it was like 15 minutes of gameplay, and the character at the end jumps out of the window, and it was interpreted that way. And then
Right.
the way when I first read it, I was like, yeah, he's just screaming at the window, like there's a hand at the window. So it's open ended.
Yeah, that's cool because yeah, right. So the hand could be. Imagine he jumps out the window and the hand grabs him. You know, so it doesn't even give him the sweet embrace of death. You know.
Yeah, he saves him.
You know,
The
where,
thing followed him all the way
Where-
home to save
where
him.
the hell you think you're going? You know,
Yeah.
we're just getting started.
Well, if you want, I mean, we can do an episode on Shadows over Innsmouth, or you can just read it whenever you want, because it connects so strongly to all the fish lore, essentially, the deep sea stuff, the deep ones, the star spawn, all the stuff that Cthulhu's presence on Earth has influenced. Essentially, is the idea.
We'll do it. Honestly, I'm gonna keep doing episodes on Lovecraft stories until I get bored. Which
There you go.
I don't know when that happens. I go through phases, but anyway, for everyone out there watching, next episode we're doing The Shadow at a Time, and then we're gonna do them at the Mountains of Madness, and then we'll do what Emerald's pick next.
Yeah, you remember at the Dreams in the Witch House.
Oh, at the Dreams of the Witch House.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
There's one more I gotta mention too that we'll probably have to get to. I don't know, it's like a grand finale or something, but it's called The Curious Case, or no, not The Curious Case. It's just called The Case of Charles Dexter Ward, and it's 100 fucking pages. It's one of the long ones.
I saw that one. Is
And
it good?
apparently it's like the unsung, like one of the best ones that most people don't talk about very often. And I haven't read it, so
Man.
it'll be fresh for everybody going in, I guess. Unless Ball, you read it.
We'll get to them all.
I haven't read that one. No.
Okay.
Oh wow, cool. Maybe we could do that one after.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I picked the one after yours, Emerald. So
Yeah, we'll do that.
see.
Let's save that one for way later. I just brought that one up ominously because it's a big one.
well, damn. All right, I do kind of want to talk more, but it's hour.
Yeah, I
and a
gotta
half.
go.
Good point.
It's a weeknight.
Yeah. Well, yo, Emerald Ball, like I have so much fun
Hell yeah.
shooting the shit with
Yeah,
you
for
guys
sure, for sure.
about Lovecraft. Thanks for coming on and like doing this and discussing and stuff. Like seriously, I'm having a lot of fun.
Hit us up when you want to think you want to schedule the next one.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Okay, we'll do. Everyone else out there, stay Toa Heavy Tough.
Toa Heavy Tough.
Toa Heavy Tough. I'll try to like let people know on the Reddits and stuff when the next episodes happen. And yeah, take it easy.
All right,
Peace
bros.
out, everyone.
Okay,
Good
take
night.
care.
Later.
All right, good night.